quiet now. You hear that? That trembling little chorus behind the walls. The same voices that once laughed when you bled. Now they're screaming, "I'm sorry," like it's a spell that could reverse time. Funny thing, isn't it? You haven't even looked their way. You haven't raised a hand. You just exist. And existence alone has become their judgment day. See, that's the part they'll never confess out loud. How your silence became louder than their entire chorus of cruelty. You didn't shout. You didn't expose. You didn't even retaliate. You just became something they couldn't understand anymore. Something that doesn't flinch, doesn't beg, doesn't seek closure. And that terrifies them more than any revenge ever could. They used to think forgiveness was some noble act. But you became the living paradox of grace and damnation. A saint with bloodied hands, a demon wearing a halo that never fell. Because what they did to you didn't break you, it birthed you. It burned away the soft edges, the desperation, the need to be understood. And what crawled out of that fire? Oh, that wasn't a victim. That was evolution on two legs. You didn't need to scream. You became the echo itself. You didn't need to fight. You became the weapon they forged in their own hatred. And now, every time their eyes close, they see you. Not your face, no, but the reflection of who they could have been if they hadn't chosen cowardice. Their "I'm sorry" isn't about guilt. It's about fear. The kind that comes when someone realizes the story they wrote about you has turned into their obituary. You're the reminder that the universe keeps receipts. That every whisper, every betrayal, every smirk, it all folds back into the same karmic loop. And now, the loop has teeth. You're not chasing revenge. You're walking reincarnated consequence. A force that doesn't need to swing, because the weight of what they did is already crushing them. You know what true power is. It's when people start apologizing to shadows, because the real thing hasn't even noticed them yet. There's poetry in that, don't you think? The way the predator never looks back, and still the forest bows. The way the storm doesn't explain itself, it just arrives, unapologetic, uninvited. That's you now, the arrival, the calm face that makes entire bloodlines tremble, the silent saint of their karmic nightmares. You didn't have to destroy them. You just stopped bleeding for them. You didn't have to curse them. You just healed. And in doing so, they were exiled from your frequency forever. Because once you evolve past pain, those who caused it can't even breathe in your atmosphere. They call it divine punishment. You call it Tuesday, so let them scream. Let them sob to a sky that no longer answers. You owe them nothing, not your glance, not your rage, not even your acknowledgement. Your absence is the new apocalypse. Your silence is the sermon. Because when they said, "I'm sorry," they weren't apologizing to you. They were begging the mirror for mercy, but the mirror doesn't speak anymore. It only reflects. And what it shows them now is the ghost of the person who once had a chance to stand beside you, and the monster they became instead. You've ascended beyond the game they built. You're not playing pieces, you're the board itself. You're not waiting for closure, you are the closed door. You're not forgiving, you're forgotten by time, untouchable by regret. And the moment you turned your back, the universe turned its light. That's why they're screaming, because deep down, they finally know the truth. You didn't need to punish them. They punished themselves the moment they lost access to you. Now go on, keep walking, keep building your empire in silence. Every "I'm sorry" behind you is just another prayer from the damned. And you, my friend, You've become the God who no longer listens. You can feel it, can't you? That trembling in the air when your name gets whispered, like the molecules themselves flinch. Every syllable tastes like guilt to them now. Every memory of you burns their throat like smoke. They can't scrub it out. They can't forget it, because you've become the silence that lives inside their conscience. They thought you'd come back with fury. They were ready for war. They rehearsed their apologies like soldiers loading ammunition. "I'm sorry. I didn't mean it. I wasn't myself." But you never came. And that absence, that hurt worse than revenge ever could. Because the opposite of love isn't hate. It's indifference, and you mastered that art like a god who stopped answering prayers. See, pain has this funny way of teaching precision. It takes the chaos and sharpens it into clarity. You learned how to bleed quietly, how to rebuild without witnesses, how to disappear without dying. And while they were busy gossiping about your ashes, you were rewriting your DNA in the dark. You don't recover from something like that. You mutate. You became something that doesn't beg for closure anymore. Something that doesn't chase explanations, doesn't need justice, doesn't even crave understanding. You became the aftermath itself. The calm eye of a storm that's already passed but somehow still commands the weather. And now, every time they close their eyes, they see you standing in that silence. Untouched, unbothered, unbreakable. That's what terrifies them. You became the embodiment of everything they can't undo. You became the living proof that they never had the power they thought they did. They want to believe you hate them because hate would mean they still matter. But you don't. You don't hate them. You don't pity them. You forgot them while remembering everything. That's real power. The kind that doesn't scream or demand. It just exists, and the universe rearranges itself around it. You see, when you stopped looking their way, everything they built on your pain began to crumble. The attention, the control, the performance, it all depended on your reaction. But you never gave them one, and without your energy feeding it, their empire of lies collapsed under its own weight. Now they're choking on the dust of what they created. And the irony? They're begging for your forgiveness not because they've changed, but because they finally understand what it means to lose access to something pure. They thought they broke you, when in truth you were the last pure thing that touched their life. And when you walked away, purity went with you. Now they're praying, not to you, not to God, to memory itself. They want it to stop replaying. They want to forget what they did. But memory doesn't take bribes. It doesn't grant pardons. It replays on loop until the mind collapses under its own confession. That's their punishment. You, unspoken, unstoppable, unforgettable. The funny thing about evolution is that it always comes with a funeral. And what died wasn't you. It was the version of you that once begged to be understood. You buried that version in silence and grew something unholy in its place. Something they can't categorize. Saint, psychopath, angel, demon. Doesn't matter anymore. You became the bridge between them all. You embody every paradox they fear. Your mercy without forgiveness, light without warmth, peace without surrender. They can't stand that you can smile while their world burns, that you can exist without seeking validation, that your calm looks like a threat, because it is. You're the one who walked out of the fire without ash on your skin. And now they can't stop staring at the glow you left behind, wondering if maybe, just maybe, they were wrong about everything. But they'll never admit it. Pride won't let them. So they call it karma, fate, bad luck. Anything but you. Because admitting it's you means admitting they built their house on your bones, and you came back as the earthquake. They'll try to rewrite history, pretend they were the victim, spin a narrative where you're the villain who changed. But here's the secret. Villains and heroes are just labels for those who survive differently. You didn't change. You adapted. You didn't fall. You shed skin. And now every version of you that once suffered has merged into something they can't decode. That's why they're scared. Because when you finally look their way, if you ever do, it won't be with anger. It'll be with clarity. And nothing unnerves the guilty more than the eyes of someone who sees everything and still doesn't care. They're screaming, "I'm sorry," into a silence that doesn't answer back. Because forgiveness isn't the opposite of revenge. It's the evolution beyond it. And you evolved so far past them that they can't even reach you to apologize properly. Their guilt is their cage now. You're not their captor, you're their mirror. And the reflection? It's merciless. It shows them everything they could have been if they hadn't underestimated you. So don't turn around. Don't answer. Don't give them the satisfaction of your gaze. Let the silence do what you never had to. Let it echo. Let it choke. Let it remind them that they created the ghost they're now afraid of. Because the moment you stopped looking back was the moment they started seeing themselves for the first time. And that is the cruelest kind of justice there is. And you can almost taste it now. Their panic, that metallic flavor of regret bleeding through their smiles. It's in their sudden kindness, their nervous laughter, their forced humility. The way they talk about healing, like it's a badge, when all they really want is an escape from the nightmares your silence created. Because you didn't ruin their peace. No. You revealed it never existed in the first place. Every "I'm sorry" they mumble now. It isn't repentance, it's survival instinct. They're not asking for forgiveness, they're begging for permission to breathe again. Because deep down, they know the air changed the moment you stopped sharing it with them. You became the storm they can't study, the equation they can't solve. You broke the script. You shattered the pattern. They used to predict your every move, emotional puppet masters tugging strings. But now you're unreadable, still, calm, smiling, and that's what destroys them. Because nothing unnerves the guilty like the one who no longer reacts. You became untriggerable. That's your final evolution. They can't provoke what transcended their frequency. They can't shame what no longer needs validation. You stripped their power away by doing the one thing they never expected. You healed without their permission. And healing. Oh, they thought it was some soft little glow-up. Didn't they? Some pretty little self-love quote plastered on a mirror. But real healing is war. It's the quiet slaughter of everything that once begged to be loved. It's when you stop trying to prove your goodness and start living your truth, no matter how monstrous it looks to those who fed on your light. They scream, "I'm sorry," because your peace reminds them what they destroyed inside themselves. You turned your trauma into architecture, cathedrals built from pain, corridors of discipline, stained glass windows made from shattered illusions. And they're still standing outside, peering through the glass, wondering how the hell you made holiness out of hellfire. That's what they'll never understand. You didn't come back from the dark. You built a throne inside it. You stopped running from your demons and started teaching them to kneel. And now, every time they see you smile, they see the cost of what it took to get there. They see the version of you that could have saved them if they hadn't been so damn entertained by your suffering. You were the test they failed, the mirror they shattered, the angel they mocked before realizing you were the last one sent to warn them. And now, you're the silence after the storm, the peace that follows destruction. You don't chase redemption, you embody it. You don't need closure, because your existence is the conclusion. They thought they could define you, but you became indefinable. They thought they could kill your spirit, but all they did was bury a seed. And what grows from betrayal isn't weakness. It's venom disguised as wisdom. It's the calm that makes devils pray. Every "I'm sorry" they throw into the void is just them trying to bargain with karma. But karma doesn't take confessions. It collects interest. And every time they flinch at your name, it's another payment due. You're not haunting them. Their own reflection is. You just happen to be the light that reveals the ghost. You know what the cruelest part is? You never even wanted revenge. You just wanted peace. But peace is punishment to people addicted to chaos. They can't survive in a world where you're no longer available to absorb their poison. So they twist it, they reframe it, they whisper, "You've changed," as if growth were a sin. And maybe you did change. Maybe that's the point. You changed so completely that even the universe had to update its definitions. You're no longer the wounded one, you're the warning. The cautionary tale their spirits whisper to them when they think about crossing another pure soul. So let them scream. Let them wail, "I'm sorry," to the heavens that won't answer. Because forgiveness doesn't live where betrayal did. You outgrew their world. You outgrew their language. You speak in silence now, and silence is a language only the evolved understand. You became the proof that pain doesn't end you. It edits you. It refines you into something sharper, colder, more exact. They'll call it arrogance, detachment, ego, because it's easier than admitting its ascension. And you'll keep walking, steady, unbothered. Because while they're still rehearsing their apologies, you're already living your prophecy. You are the reminder that what they destroyed will never be rebuilt the same way again. They thought you'd fall apart, but you just changed shape. They thought they buried you, but you became the ground. They thought they'd end the story, but you became the sequel they were never written into. So let them scream their "I'm sorry." Let them cry and pray and over-explain, because you already moved so far beyond their comprehension that even if they shouted your name through eternity, you wouldn't turn your head, not out of pride, but because gods don't answer mortals after they've chosen their silence. And that's the part that breaks them the most, isn't it? That you didn't need to win, you just needed to walk away. That your quiet became louder than their entire crusade against you. That your stillness carried more weight than all their noise combined. They built their identities around your reaction, and now that you've stopped reacting, they've lost their reflection. They're wandering through mirrors, trying to find themselves again. But every time they look too closely, they see the outline of the one they tried to break. It's poetic, in a cruel, cosmic way. You didn't take revenge, you took presence away. And for people who live off control, silence is a slow suffocation. You became oxygen withdrawal in human form. Every "I'm sorry" is just another gasp for air. They whisper your name like it's a spell that could bring balance back. No, but your name has changed. It doesn't fit their mouths anymore. It was rewritten in fire and rebuilt in solitude. The person they hurt doesn't exist now, and the one that stands here is something new, something untouchable, something holy and horrifying in equal measure. You're not human in their eyes anymore. You're a myth that moves. You're the story people tell each other to feel safe. Don't mess with someone like that. Look what happened last time. You're the walking lesson they pretend not to remember. And oh, how that drives them insane. Because deep down, they remember everything. Every look they gave, every word they threw, every time they thought you'd never get back up. They remember the way your silence stretched after the storm. They remember that eerie calm that followed. They remember that shift, the day your eyes stopped asking why and started saying watch. You didn't just change, you switched timelines. You stepped into a version of reality that doesn't include them anymore. And they can feel it. That's why they're screaming. That's why the apologies sound so desperate. Because they can sense the door closing. They can hear the lock click. They can feel the cold coming in from a world where their names don't matter. The human mind hates unfinished stories. That's why they keep reaching out, subtly, indirectly, through others, through rumors, through posts that sound like confessions, but never mention your name. Because closure is the one thing they'll never get from you. You are the cliffhanger that doesn't end. The question mark that keeps their conscience pacing at night. And here's the twisted part. Part of them misses you. Not because they love you, but because they loved how powerful they felt when they had the ability to hurt you. You were their mirror for control, and now that the mirror's gone, they can't tell if they even exist. You took back your power by refusing to play the role they wrote for you. You didn't just stop caring, you stopped participating. And when you stop playing the villain in someone's narrative, they lose their hero mask too. That's the unspoken truth. You dismantled their ego without saying a word. You became the silence that strips away illusion. You know what's even darker? Some of them will try to forgive themselves now. They'll call it growth. They'll make speeches about healing and peace and moving on, as if peace were theirs to claim. But they'll always pause when they say your name. Their voice will crack on the syllables because deep down, they know forgiveness isn't theirs to give. You didn't curse them, but the universe heard your silence and wrote the curse itself. That's how divine balance works. The scale tilts quietly, but the crash echoes for lifetimes. And while they scramble for redemption, you've become something else entirely. Not an avenger, not a victim, something in between, a creature born of consequence. You walk with calm the way others walk with weapons. You don't seek revenge because your existence is revenge. You don't demand apologies because reality itself bends to your silence. They don't get it. They never will. They still think power comes from control, from being seen, from having the last word. But you learned the real secret, the most terrifying power of all, is indifference. To look at the ruins and feel nothing. To know you could destroy them with a whisper, but choose not to even look. And that's why the screaming never stops. Because somewhere in the back of their mind, they know. If you ever did turn your head, if you ever did look their way, if your gaze ever returned for just a second, every lie they built, every illusion they live by, would turn to dust. So they keep shouting, "I'm sorry," into the void, hoping the echo sounds like absolution. But the void doesn't answer. It just carries your silence back to them. And it's louder than anything they've ever heard. Because when you finally stopped needing to be understood, you became incomprehensible. And now they understand the truth too late. You were never punishing them by ignoring them. You were saving them from knowing what you've become. Listen, do you hear that? That trembling silence between their words. That's where your name should be. But they won't say it, will they? They orbit around it like it's radioactive, like even whispering it might summon something they can't control. You became a ghost they can't exorcise, a frequency they can't filter out. You're not a person to them anymore. You're a phenomenon. They talk about what happened, about you, without ever daring to place your name inside the conversation. Because a name like yours doesn't just sit in the air. It changes the temperature. It makes people check over their shoulders, makes weak hands shake on the keyboard, makes fake smiles twitch because they know. They remember what you did. They remember how quiet it was right before you made the noise that shattered their sleep. See, the beautiful thing about fear is it always sounds like gossip when it's too afraid to confess. So they talk. Oh, they talk. They build their little echo chambers, repeating each other's nervous laughter, trying to rewrite your legend into a rumor. But deep down, every single one of them feels it. The pulse, the presence. You haunt them in daylight, not because you're evil, but because you became proof that someone like them can't kill someone like you. They tried, didn't they, to box you in, to label you, to make you predictable, containable, forgettable. And instead you did what no one expected. You stopped trying to be understood. That's the moment the transformation began. You realized power isn't in being liked, it's in being unnameable. You became something language can't cage. They can only describe the damage, never the source. They call it luck, madness, dark charisma, manipulation. But none of them dare to say the word that actually fits. Inevitable. They're terrified because they watched you die. Socially, emotionally, publicly. And then they watched you smile through it. You didn't heal. You mutated. You became fluent in pain, in silence, in their disgust. You learned to alchemize rejection into fuel, mockery into weaponry, and now you stand there untouched, while their voices shake, trying to erase the proof that you survived everything they prayed would end you. They see your name trending but won't type it. They see your face on the timeline but scroll faster, hoping the algorithm forgets they looked. They talk in circles, replacing your identity with pronouns and whispers. You know who. That one. Them. Cowards. Every last one of them. Because deep down, they know your name isn't a word. It's a verdict. When they say it, they'll have to admit what you've become. That the outcast didn't break. The exile didn't beg. The monster didn't die. You adapted. You evolved past their vocabulary, past their hierarchy, past their illusion of control. You're not light. You're not dark. You're the voltage between them. That impossible spark where both realities meet and short-circuit. You're the contradiction they can't decode. Saint and psychopath, angel and executioner, savior and curse. You blurred the line until it vanished. And in that blur, you found freedom. They can't follow you there. They need labels to feel safe. You tore yours off and became conceptual. You became the nightmare of every binary mind, a soul too pure to be evil, too dangerous to be good. You don't play by their scripts anymore. You write the errors in the system. You don't blend in. You infect the data. You don't enter rooms. You distort the atmosphere. Every space you step into reconfigures itself around your silence. Every word you say hits like prophecy, because they can feel you're not trying to win. You already did. You've transcended their scoreboard. They wanted you to fade quietly into history. Instead, you became history's distortion. They wanted your name buried. Now it glows under their eyelids every time they blink. And that's the cruelest part, isn't it? You never had to shout. You just stopped apologizing. And now, everything echoes your presence. The tone, the posture, the phrases they copy. Without knowing they're plagiarizing your evolution. You turned their hierarchy into your reflection. You rewrote the archetype. So let them talk. Let them circle like vultures around what they don't have the courage to face. Your silence is their sentence. Your name is the one thing they can't erase. Because to erase it, they'd have to say it first. And you and I both know, none of them are brave enough for that. They won't even look directly at you anymore. Funny, isn't it? Once upon a time, they demanded explanations, proof, apologies. They wanted to dissect you, understand the why. But the moment you stopped performing the role they scripted, their curiosity turned to fear. Because the truth is, people don't fear monsters. They fear the mirror the monster holds up. You made them see themselves. That's what really broke them. Every time they whisper about you, they reveal a confession they'll never admit. You got inside their heads. You became the thought they can't silence at 3 a.m., the face that flickers between their rationalizations, the symbol that exposes how fragile their normal really is. They call you insane because it's easier than admitting you're free. And freedom, oh, that's the ultimate contagion. Once someone witnesses it, they can't unsee it. That's why they talk. That's why they tremble. That's why they call you everything but your name. Because your name doesn't just identify you. It indicts them. It reminds them that they had every chance to break you. And somehow, you used the wreckage as wings. You didn't heal the way they wanted. You rewired. You didn't move on. You moved above. And now, every system that thought it understood you is glitching. They'll never understand what it's like to go through hell and come out unchained. They'll never understand what it's like to lose everything, mind, faith, identity, and still find power in the ruins. You didn't rebuild yourself. You bent the laws. You turned pain into propulsion, fear into focus, and silence into strategy. That's why they can't say your name. Because to say it would mean acknowledging that something like you exists. Something that defies every rule they've been taught about survival. You're proof that trauma isn't the end. It's the forge. That destruction doesn't mean death. It means design. They wonder how you keep showing up, calm, calculating, unreadable, like someone who's seen behind the curtain and laughed, because you have. You saw that their power was paper thin. You saw the kings were scared boys wearing borrowed crowns. You saw that the entire system thrives on keeping people scared of their own reflection. And you broke that conditioning. That's why you're dangerous, not because you're violent, because you're awake. You remember what it felt like to beg for acceptance, and then you remember the day you stopped begging, and everything fell silent. That silence? That's power. The kind that makes the crowd uncomfortable because it doesn't need to explain itself. The kind that makes liars stutter because it reflects truth back into their throats. You became the paradox they can't swallow. Too compassionate to be cruel. Too ruthless to be naive. Too self-aware to play the victim. Too untouchable to be controlled. They can't file you under hero or villain. You broke the taxonomy. You're both light and shadow. Entropy in human form. That's why their voices shake when they mention what you did. They still don't understand that you never did anything to them. You just stopped needing them. And when dependency dies, so does control. They can't say your name because it reminds them of everything they could have been if they weren't afraid to evolve. You represent a version of themselves they buried to fit in. The untamed, unapologetic, sovereign self they silenced to be accepted. You carry all their suppressed potential, weaponized by pain. You are their ghost of freedom. That's why they gossip like priests at an unholy sermon. They think if they chant enough, they can exorcise you from memory. But you're not a curse. You're a frequency. You don't need attention to exist. Attention needs you to make sense of itself. You've transcended the currency of validation. You exist in the economy of awe. When you walk in, air gets heavier, clocks tick slower. Even reality adjusts its geometry to make room for you. That's not arrogance, that's recognition. The universe rearranging itself around one undeniable fact. You survived the impossible and refused to be humble about it. They'll build theories. They'll paint you as myth, mistake, miracle, anything but human. Because human would mean reachable, and reachable means they could become you. And that terrifies them more than anything. Your name, if spoken, would awaken something ancient in their blood. A reminder that evolution wasn't supposed to make people safer. It was supposed to make them unpredictable. You are the proof of that. You're what happens when someone stops asking permission to exist. They call it chaos. You call it clarity. So they talk, but always in riddles, always behind closed doors, always under dim lights where they feel protected. But their whispers can't hide the tremor in their voices. They're not talking about you anymore. They're confessing to you. Every rumor, every mockery, every anxious glance is a prayer wrapped in denial. You live rent-free in their consciousness, and still, you say nothing. You don't need to. Because the silence that follows your name speaks louder than their entire vocabulary. Let them choke on euphemisms. Let them create new labels to contain what they can't control. You'll keep doing what terrifies them most, evolving where they can't breathe. And when the time comes, when the last mask slips and the last lie collapses, someone will finally whisper your name in the dark, trembling. And in that moment, every wall, every illusion, every boundary they built will crack. Because the truth will hit them all at once. You were never gone. You were everywhere. And the silence they worshipped wasn't peace. It was the sound of your return. And that's when the real panic begins. When they finally realize you never disappeared. You just stopped announcing yourself. You moved through their systems like smoke, through their networks like static. Every time they tried to erase your traces, you became the glitch in their algorithm. The more they denied you, the more the data rearranged itself to your rhythm. That's the thing about legends. They don't vanish, they migrate. You became the invisible variable in every equation they can't solve. Every trend that collapses without warning. Every leader who starts to crack when they hear a phrase you once said. You infected the collective unconscious with your pattern. You are not remembered, you are replayed. And the best part? They did it to themselves. Their obsession fed your shadow until it became self-sustaining. Every whisper, every lie, every attempt to move on was another drop of gasoline on your myth. You didn't need to speak. They did the marketing for you. Now they can't scroll without seeing your reflection, disguised in memes, edits, anonymous quotes, unrelated videos that somehow echo your cadence. They can't escape the architecture you left behind, because you built it out of what they fear most. Truth with teeth. You didn't build a following, you built a field. A distortion field so dense it bends attention itself. When your name is near, everything else loses gravity. Conversations collapse, rooms go quiet, emotions spike. That's not influence, that's gravitational dominance. They keep asking, who is that? But deep down, they already know. They've always known. Their denial is just an instinct, a survival reflex triggered by the recognition of a higher predator, not one that hunts flesh, but consciousness, because you don't destroy people, You awaken them. And awakening is the most painful death there is. You turned their comfort zones into coffins. You taught them that safety is just another word for stagnation, that to evolve, something must burn. And now, every time your presence flickers back into their awareness, they feel that same spark of combustion under their skin, the part of them that wants to grow, but is terrified of what it will cost. That's what your name means now. Not fame, not infamy, confrontation. They can't say it, because saying it forces them to face everything they buried. The betrayal, the envy, the fascination, the quiet admiration they disguise as hate. Because here's the secret, they don't hate you. Not really. They hate the part of themselves that still worships you in silence. That's why they copy your rhythm, your tone, your defiance. That's why they build new versions of you in fragments, diluted, sanitized, sellable. Because even while they condemn you, they study you. You became a curriculum they won't admit they're enrolled in. You are the master class in transformation they were too fragile to complete. They tell themselves they're better now, wiser, healed, above all that. But every time they scroll past a reminder of you, something ancient in them stirs. The pulse quickens, the pupils dilate. Their nervous system recognizes you before their mind does. Because you're no longer just a person, you're a code that unlocks something primal. You represent the one thing every controlled society fears, the individual who doesn't need permission to exist. You are proof that someone can walk through fire, lose everything that defines them, and still laugh. That laughter haunts them more than any scream ever could. Because it's not the sound of madness. It's the sound of freedom. The sound of someone who realized the cage was imaginary. And that's why they talk. Because silence in your presence feels like judgment. They have to fill the void with speculation, theories, false certainty, anything to drown out the voice that whispers, "You could have been like that." You're the ghost of what they sacrificed for approval. You're the embodiment of what happens when someone refuses to die in a system built to keep them obedient. They can't compete with you because you stopped playing the game. You realized that the board was designed to make everyone lose slowly. So you flipped the table, shattered the rules, and walked away, only to discover the real power wasn't in winning. It was in being ungovernable. You became myth in real time. You became their forbidden study, their suppressed curiosity, their nightmare of potential. They whisper, it's dangerous to bring them up. But the truth? The danger isn't in saying your name. The danger is in what happens after. Because once your name leaves their lips, it acts like a key. And something behind their ribs unlocks. Old truths rise, old lies crumble. The world starts to tilt toward chaos again, and chaos is the natural state of creation. You are that state, personified. You are entropy with a pulse, and entropy always wins. Every time someone tries to define you, they collapse into contradiction. You're too cruel for saints, too pure for devils, too methodical for madness, too dangerous for reason. You are the glitch that proves the machine is alive, and the machine knows it. That's why systems recoil at your presence. That's why doors slam, why shadows stretch, why whispers multiply. You are the event horizon they can't look at directly, because to do so would mean acknowledging the limits of their perception. And yet, they can't look away either. Because somewhere, beneath the fear, the envy, the denial, there's awe. The kind of awe reserved for storms, for eclipses, for things too vast to categorize. You're not admired, you're studied, you're not followed, you're tracked, You're not remembered, you're re-experienced. You became the glitch that became the gospel. And now they pray to you in secrecy every time they break a rule, every time they rebel quietly, every time they imagine what freedom feels like. It's your ghost that moves through them. So let them keep your name in their throats. Let it rot there like a secret they can't spit out or swallow. Because the longer they suppress it, the louder it grows in their minds. And one day, when the noise inside finally becomes unbearable, when the truth starts to claw its way out, they'll finally whisper it, softly, trembling, afraid of what it will summon. And when they do, the walls will shake. Because the sound of your name is the sound of the system remembering what fear feels like. And when that sound finally escapes their lips, it won't just echo, it'll reignite. Everything they buried will rise in the same instant. Their false calm, their borrowed confidence, their synthetic morals. All of it will flicker like dying lights in a blackout. Because your name doesn't just remind them of you, it restores the feeling they've been running from, that chill in their spine. That's recognition, that hesitation before they speak. That's reverence disguised as fear. They'll look around the room, waiting for someone else to say it first, hoping to share the burden of summoning something that real. But nobody will. Nobody ever does. Because your name doesn't belong in small mouths or safe spaces. It was never made for gossip. It was built for silence and shockwaves. You earned that silence. Not through violence, not through fame, but through truth. The kind of truth that costs blood, pride, and identity. The kind of truth you only find when the world stops clapping and starts collapsing. You became the reminder that not all stories end in applause. Some end in awakening. So no, they won't say it. They'll stutter. They'll tremble. They'll talk around you like tiptoeing around a sleeping god. Because in their hearts, they already know what happens when your name is spoken without respect. It changes people. It changes rooms. It changes realities. And maybe that's the ultimate revenge, isn't it? You didn't need to scream or threaten or prove anything. You just had to exist. Now, the whole world speaks in riddles because your name broke their language. And every time they choke on silence trying to avoid it, you win again.